Sakipur village. The village environment, which was named Sakipur, was as beautiful as the name itself. The wisest man in this village, surrounded by green paddy fields and a quiet river, was Abdul Karim. He was old, but his intellect and the sense of humor were as sharp as a young man. He was the imam of the village mosque and a source of hope for everyone. He always had a hadith or a funny story on his lips. Abdul Karim's most beloved possession was his white camel, which he named Baraka. Baraka means blessing. The camel was a symbol of blessing. It gave milk in abundance and its speed was like the wind. Abdul Karim often said that Baraka is not just a camel, it is a continuous blessing from Allah. But this blessing was looked down upon by the lazy and the greedy youths of the village. Dilawar, Kamal and the Sakawat. Dilawar was the brain of the group, Kamal was his right hand, and the Sakawat was just a stupid duck who only knew how to nod. Their only job was to lie under a tree and to call others to steal their wares. One day Dilawar saw Baraka and decided, oh, if this camel were in our hands, we would have to sell it and get up to pray Fajr for the rest of our lives. With the money we get music no more. Kamal said, stealing is impossible. Uncle always says Allahu Akbar. Even Satan does not touch him. Then he gave in and he told his devilish trick. It is not stealing. We will steal Uncle's mind. The three of us will go to Uncle at different times and claim that the camel is another animal. If we hear the same lie over and over again, suspicion will arise in Uncle's mind. He will think that his eyesight may have decreased, and he will give up the camel, considering it worthless. Sakawat, who is the stupidest in the group music, jumped up in joy and decided, great intelligence. When Uncle releases the camel, thinking it a donkey, we will run away with it. The next morning, after the Fajr prayer, Abdul Karim set out with his camel Barakah for a religious invitation to a neighboring village. The sky music had not yet fully opened. A light red glow was on the eastern horizon. The smell of the dew soakers was mixing with the air, and the chirping of birds was wafting from afar. As he walked along the village's dirt path, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim was on his lips, and he had immense faith in Allah. Abdul Karim was old, but his guide had a sagely senility. He was not just a scholar, he was a reflection of wisdom and the patience to the people of the village music. His journey was not just music as speech but a message of truth that he kept in his heart. Barakah, his faithful camel, was moving forward with calm steps. His every step was a silent act of worship. He was carrying a few necessities for the journey on his back: a prayer mat, a clay pot of water, and the Holy Quran in a leather bag. Abdul Karim had no more worries. He only had a pure determination to deliver the message of religion. He knew that if he followed the path of truth, trials would come, and those trials had to be faced with patience and wisdom. Music as he crossed the last boundary of the village and he passed by a deserted date orchard. Music, the first swindler, Delwa, blocked his path. Delwar was a lazy young man known in the village who lived his life with showy piety and cunning intelligence. Music, sir, was jealousy in his eyes because Abdul Karim's respect was unbearable for him. He pretended as if music he was very pious and his deep concern for Abdul Karim's worship. Delwar quickly came forward and he almost knelt down and he made an extreme act of humility and he said, Assalamualaikum music uncle, where are you going with this dog? You know that touching a dog breaks your ablution, especially such a dirty, hairy dog. How can a scholar like you carry this unclean animal with you? Music, won't the light of your worship diminish? Won't this journey of yours become devoid of blessings? Sir was concern in his voice and a hypocritical devotion in his eyes that made his lie even more poisonous. Abdul Karim stopped for a moment. No more anger or resentment rose in his heart. He simply took a deep breath. He gently placed his hand on Barakah's back. The camel seemed to be reassured by its owner's gentle touch. Abdul Karim looked into Delwar's eyes. A smile appeared on his lips. Music, a mixture of wisdom and compassion. He looked at Delwar and decided in a calm but firm voice, Waalaikumsalam, Baba. It's good to see your concern, but you may be wrong. This is my camel Barakah. She has been my long-time companion and a sacred gift from God. He paused for a moment and he leaned towards Delwar. His voice deepened this time, as if every word was hitting Delwar's heart. Music, but after listening to you, it seems that the dust of the forbidden has also gathered in your eyes today. Because the light of truth does not enter the eyes of a person who knowingly lies. Lies are a veil that makes people forget the difference between truth and the lies. Our hearts are like a mirror. When music lie, ink is applied to that mirror. And when the thing becomes dark, even a camel seems like a dog. You are lying. That is why you see a camel as a dog. Go and repent first. Remove the ink from your heart. Inshallah, your vision will be clear and you will see barakah in its true form. Delwar's face turned pale. His mask of hypocritical piety fell off in an instant. Abdul Karim's words struck the weakest part of his heart. He did not dare to say anything more. He lowered his head in shame and he quickly retreated into the shadow of the nearby date palm grove. Abdul Karim sighed. He understood that this was not a mere mistake or an isolated incident. This was a well-planned conspiracy. Someone music had tricked this young man to shake his wisdom and faith. This test was to test how music bright the light of truth within him was. He asked Allah for help in his heart and he made sure to use his wisdom. He determined music that no more matter what the intentions of these liars, he would reach his destination and he spread the message of truth. He patted Barakah on the back and he moved forward with firm steps. A no light of determination was done in his heart and that eternal prayer on his face. Allahumma inni a'udzubika minal kubakhabas. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from all evil and impurity. This test will make him stronger, because he understood that to recognize the truth, not only the outer eyes but also the inner eyes must be kept clean. And no matter how much lies are represented, they are always weak in the face of wisdom. After about an hour, when Abdul Karim thought that he might have passed this test, the second swindler, Kamal, appeared. Kamal was more cunning and eloquent than Delwar. He knew how to mislead people with sweet words and how to hurt their pride. Music Kamal began to speak very humbly, behaving almost like a disciple. Sir was cunning in his eyes but honey in his mouth. He said, Uncle Mashallah, this donkey of yours is quite fast. Looking at its movements, it seems that it is very strong. But why are you going to a religious conference on the back of this ordinary donkey when you have such a valuable camel? Music is your camel-sake? What will people think when they see it? Won't they say that Abdul Karim music cannot afford to buy a camel? Won't your respect diminish? Is this befitting for a respected scholar like you? Abdul Music Karim no longer smiled. He frowned slightly and he pretended to be a little worried. He looked at Barakah and then at Kamal. He said, Father, it's a camel. But you and your previous friend are both saying the same thing. Are you testing me or has Satan really blinded my eyes? Have you really forgotten the difference between a camel and a donkey? He held Barakah tightly music and he gave Kamal a sharp look. But he know that Allah never misleads the truthful. The path of truth is always straight. The lie that you two are trying to prove to be true is misleading you both. The first one said, Dag, you are saying donkey. Don't you know that Allah has no more fixed form? Allah changes its form every moment because it has no more basis. Lies once question your purity music. Dogs again question your honor and the ability. Donkeys, but truth is eternal. It is as steadfast as Barakah and is steadfast in its form. This camel will remain a camel, even if 1,000 liars call it by another name. Abdul Karim's philosophical reply stunned Kamal's eloquence. He realized that his trick had been caught. All his arguments and all his humility became meaningless in a moment. Kamal also failed, lowered his head and he quickly started walking in the opposite direction without giving any excuse. There was extreme disappointment in his eyes. Abdul Karim understood that this was not a mistake. This was a well-planned conspiracy. He asked Allah for help in his heart and he decided to use his wisdom. Abdul Karim had a slight hesitation as he approached the city, because any man can be confused. But that hesitation was momentary. Wait, tested by the heartstone of experience, turned into a firm conviction. He realized that this was not an ordinary mistake. Rather, it was the last step of a well-planned plot. Just a few hundred yards away from the main gate of the city, where the crowd had started gathering and the number of pedestrians was increasing, the third swindler, Shakhawat, came forward. Shakhawat was more confident and greedy than his two companions, Delwar and Kamal. He did not know that his two previous companions were waiting somewhere far away, lamenting their failure. There was a flash of rapid sound in his eyes, and there was a mask of artificial sympathy on his face. He glanced at the camel, then at Abdul Karim. Shakhawat sighed dramatically, as if he had fallen from the sky. Hey uncle, why are you going to such trouble with this sheep? This is good for sacrifice but not for travel. Where did your precious camel go? Did you really lose your camel or did some evil spirit mislead you? Sakhawat's voice was quite loud and dramatic, which attracted the attention of two music for passers-by nearby. To Abdul Karim, this scene was like the last act of an old play. Hearing the same words from Osri, a mysterious smile appeared on Abdul Karim's face. That smile was a mixture of pity and triumph. He understood the last move of this house. This greedy young man must be trapped by his greed. He sighed deeply and he got down from the camel music. A look of deep spiritual confusion flashed in his eyes. He placed his hand on Sakhawat's shoulder and he sighed, "Baba music, you are right. I think Satan has misled me. For the past 2 hours, I feel as if I am trapped in a deep web. I see camels as sheep. I think my eyesight and the mind are both sick." He handed the reins of the camel to Sakhawat and decided, "You should take this sheep. I don't want to walk with these evil thoughts anymore. I fear that this sheep is a symbol of my delusion. If you take it, you will thank Allah that I am free from the shaitan's lies. You have lightened my burden, Fazir." Sakhawat was overcome with joy. His eyes sparkled with greed music. He thought that his intelligence was the best. He quickly grabbed the reins of the camel and decided, "Don't worry, music. Uncle, I am taking this sheep of yours. You should rather go to the city and seek the advice of a good doctor. May Allah bless you." Abdul Karim nodded calmly and he watched him leave. He was sure that this greedy young man would run to his companions. Sakhawat took the camel and he went to his two companions, Delwar and Kamal, to quickly escape from the village. They were waiting in a deserted dead garden. Delwar and Kamal were initially shocked when they saw Sakhawat coming with the camel. "Sakhawat, what did you do?" "We returned in failure." Kamal was surprised, and Sakhawat laughed heartily. "You are a fool, you were just greedy. He played a trick music. He made the old man believe that he had gone mad and he was seeing his camel as a sheep. He himself gave it to me to get rid of the devil." The three of them started laughing at their success. They felt like they were the smartest people in the world. They quickly planned to escape the village with the camel music, but when they started to take the precious silk sacks off the camel's back, they saw Abdul Karim's mysterious smile, which was the final proof that they had been fooled. There was a note in a small leather pouch on the camel's back music. Sakhawat quickly opened the note. It read, "Thank you, Baba Sakhawat, for taking the sheep. Your greed is your biggest weakness." Music actually, Abdul Karim did not just leave the camel in his hands. He knew that greed blinds people, and the trap of greed of these three swindlers would swallow them up. He left the camel in such a way that he thought music was really what they had explained. But his preparation was perfect. The camel had no more bell on its neck, but there was a special mark just below its left hump, a small, intricately painted crescent and the star symbol that his ancestors had used for their best camels many years ago. This mark was his silent witness. Abdul Karim had met a young man from the village named Fahim on the side of the road before him. Fahim was the fastest and the sharpest in the village of Sakhipur. The uncle told Fahim in a calm yet firm music voice, "Fahim, if you see anyone taking my camel, music, you will follow him. But be careful not to arouse their suspicions. When you see them trying to run away quickly, you will take the other young men of the village and catch them by the hand." Music. Fahim nodded his head in deep respect for Abdul Karim's wisdom and he promised. The swindlers were running along a narrow path with Kamal Shahabad and Delwar's camel. The music speed and the attempt to hide made it clear to Fahim that they were no more longer acting. They were sneaking away. Fahim without delay took out a small flute from his pocket and he played a special tune, which was the predetermined signal. In a moment, 5 more strong youths came out from both sides of the road. They quickly blocked the path of the thugs. Music. When Kamal, Shahabad and Delwar saw that they were surrounded from all sides, their faces turned dry. Their confident smiles turned to fear in an instant. They tried to throw the camel away and escape, but all their efforts were in vain due to the speed of the youths. The youths caught them by the hand. Music and brought them along with the camel to the bottom of the banyan tree of Sakhipur village where the village dignitaries and Abdul Karim Music were waiting. There was a crowd of people from the village under the banyan tree. Abdul Karim was sitting calmly on a wooden chair. There was no more anger in his eyes. There was only deep wisdom. When the deceivers were brought before him, their faces were red with shame, humiliation and fear. They looked at the ground, as if the ground would give way. They could hide in it. Uncle broke the silence in a calm voice. You thought you would cover up the truth with lies. You thought Abdul Karim was a music foolish old man who could be easily deceived. He slowly stood up and he walked towards the deceivers. Remember, Allah says in the Quran, do not mix truth with falsehood, and do not conceal the truth knowingly. Surah Baqarah, verse ke-42. You three have lied 3 times together. Once a camel was a duck, music once a donkey, and once a goat. And he once pretended to be the truth and he lured you into the trap of greed. He also said, your greed blinded you. You have forgotten that the sustenance or provision given by Allah comes only through lawful means. If you had worked hard, Allah would have provided you with lawful means. But you have followed the path of Satan. You have forgotten music that Allah is sufficient for whoever trusts in Allah. Surah At-Talaq verse 3 had let go of my camel but he had put my trust in Allah. He knew that my barakah or blessings given by Allah to me could never be wasted by lying or stealing. So my barakah has returned to me. Abdul Karim's words were sharp as the shaft of an arrow, but his voice music was affectionate like a father's. The people of the village listened to his wisdom in silence. The swindlers could no more longer contain themselves. Kamal, who was the cleverest among them, wept and fell at Abdul Karim's feet and begged for forgiveness. Sakhawat and Delwar also repented and promised that they would never cheat again and work in search of a halal livelihood. Abdul Karim forgave them. He told the young men to untie their ties. He looked at them and said, go, you have been forgiven, but remember that this forgiveness is your promise to Allah. From today, you start a new life. Work hard, Allah will help you. He gave some money to each of them, which would serve as the first capital for them to follow the righteous path. After this incident, not only peace returned to the village of Sakhipur, but Abdul Karim's music wisdom and generosity set a new example. Everyone understood that even if lies bring temporary gains, the ultimate victory always belongs to true wisdom and forgiveness. And Kamal, Sakhawat and Delwar, who were once cheats, became known in society as hardworking and honest people. Music that changed lives became a living lesson for the people of Sakhipur village.